and welcome to Explaining the Unexplained. This is our second show of this new series that we're doing. My usual guest host, that is a wonderful man, Bishop Joshua Sparks, is not available to be here tonight because he is not feeling well. So we're sending prayers to Bishop Joshua Sparks. And I'm supposed to have another co-host popping in to help us with the show tonight. It was kind of spur of the moment, but I thought it would be fun. So hopefully she will be able to pop in. And when she does, then we'll introduce her. We'll just make sure she does pop in first. But with that said, I have with us the amazing Dr. Adrian Finkelstein. Hi, Dr. Adrian.
Oh,
I'm so excited to have you here, and thank you for coming in on the brand new show. Dr. Adrian, I've got his book right here that I'm reading, and I'm not going to show it because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube or Facebook for showing the book cover, but it's called Your Past Lives and the Healing Process. And it says a psychiatrist's look at reincarnation and spiritual healing. This is just one of his books. And one of the things he's done, he's an amazing person. He's still a psychiatrist. He's still helping people. He's a extremely important panel member with the Unseen Realm podcast that we have every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And there she is. She did pop in. Hi, Desiree. She's our co-host, our surprise co-host, Desiree
Hey.
Valdez.
Blessings,
So
everyone. Thank you so much.
thank you so much for being here with me tonight, Desiree. I was just saying that Bishop Joshua is not feeling well, and I just thought at the last second I would ask and see if you would like to pop in, and you did, and to be co-host. So thank you so much. Well, let's get the show started. Desiree, I know that you have I've heard you say that you would love just like spending hours talking to our guest here. And I was
Yes.
just mentioning his new book, or not his new book, but one of his books about past lives and the healing process. And so before I guess we get going, let's just Dr. Adrian, will you explain a little bit about your career so far and what you do and all the amazing things that you are?
hmm. Well, I wish that your words match what I can do here, but I'll do my best. So anyway, I started as I mentioned to you at one time, but for people that don't know, I started as a 5-year-old boy, wondering about a lot of things and asking a lot of questions and being very curious, climbing trees, getting in trouble. So don't climb the tree because I'll tell your father, my mom would say. And then he would give me a spanking. So anyway, but I didn't care. I just wanted to know, to understand who I am, what's going on here. And I remember my father was showing me a lot of pictures from Hollywood, and we were in Romania at the time, an Eastern European country, and um, so he was in love with Hollywood. My father, he was a very funny man and very smart, and he had a very intense sense of humor. So, but to make a long story short, I would look at the pictures, and the first picture that really stayed in my mind and I fell in love with was Jean Harlow. And my father would show me Karloff, or this very horrific person, character in films, or would show me Gary Cooper or other personalities there. But anyway, but I was stuck with this Jean Harlow as if I knew her.
Hmm.
And I fell in love with her instantly at age 5.
Hmm.
So anyway, to make a long story short, now there's a book on that because somebody found me a very psychic lady by the name of Valerie, and she called me from Aberdeen, Washington, and said, "You know what? It's been 3 years that people are telling me about you, that you wrote books about reincarnation, and I want to know what's going on because I have a feeling that I was Jean Harlow before." And then I jumped because I remembered my memory when from a 5 year old, and I said, "Well, how comes that is a coincidence or something?" But anyway, I said, "Well, okay." I did some past life regressions, hundreds of thousands of past life regressions over a period of 30 years or so by that time. So I said, and I wrote books based on my findings. But she came, and that's the way we started, and that was that book. And you asked me about my life. Well, my life was searching, thinking about life and death. And it started to when during the Second World War, a bomb fell in our um, garden there, and our house was destroyed, and I could see there was a crater of the bomb, and at the bottom of it was a dead piglet. And I looked at it, and I was with my dad, and I started crying. I said, "Oh, he doesn't move. What happened? And what is death? What is death's dead?" And no, people go and don't come anymore. And like they get white hair if they are people, and they get old and they die. So that upset me very much because I didn't want my parents to die, and I was afraid that they are getting a few white hairs. So I said, "Well, I see white hairs in your head, and I'm afraid that what's going to happen with you, and uh, you're going to die, and that's bad." So then, to make a long story short, I said, "When I'm grow up, I'm going to discover something. I'm going to be a doctor and discover medicine so that I will prolong your life to stay here and live forever."
Mm.
So that's the way I started.
And that's kind of what
Uh,
you did in a
they
way.
laughed at me. They laughed at me, and they didn't take me seriously, which upset me more
Wow.
because I doubled down. I said, "No, I'm going to do it."
Ah, there. And look it.
And you have
So
books.
that's the way I started. My
Ah,
humble beginnings,
humble
and
beginnings.
the beginnings remained humble for quite a while because at that time I had psychic experiences. I could uh, I could be in a shelter at the National Bank of Bucharest, Romania, where my mother would take me when there was you know. A bombing raid during the
Mhm.
Second World War, and we would run on the street. I would see the bombs falling and explosions that frightened me a lot, and the fire and everything. So, but finally we would get to the shelter, and then I would count to three, and at three the bombing raid would stop, and people laughed at me that I have this so-called magic power or something, but I don't. I said, you know, I'm, I'm going to count, and you will see. So I want to prove to them. So, but they didn't believe me. To make a long story short, eventually they saw that I do it repeatedly and it works. So the bombing will stop at my count of three. And they would gather around me and ask me to count when the bombs were falling, and everyone was frightened and all. So I was a little bit frightened, but not as much because I knew I would know when the bombing stops. So and I'll be there to count. So I would count to three. I said, it's not ready yet. I cannot count now. But then I would count and it will work. So uh, then I had another experience that was prior to that. I was 2 year old and I was in my room in my little bed. And my parents always put me there, and I would sleep alone there, and I was fine. There was a night in Bucharest, Romania, in 1940, that when I was two. So, uh, and that night, I cried a lot, and I wanted to be in their bed. Their bed was in the other room. So my mother saw that I'm crying so much. She said, "Okay, come." So I was there. Guess what? In the morning, after that there was an earthquake, the biggest earthquake in Romania that was registered at that time.
Wow.
And all my part of the house fell, and there were bricks and debris in my bed. It was full of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, so I was psychic even at two, probably at that time. But then when I was 9 year old, another experience, I was in the third grade in the elementary school, the Spanish Jewish school in Bucharest there. And my mom came to me with me, and she was in the garden across the street, sitting on a bench, waiting for me to finish with the exam. So um, I finished with the exam. Everything was okay, and I was so happy. So I ran across the street to tell my mom that, and then a big truck came, and in the last moment, I hung myself on the grill of the motor, and it hit me. But then I could see myself, like I left my body, and I could see myself from the back. I was there.
Wow.
And I would see myself on the back hanging there.
Right.
So after that, I lost my conscious, and I fell, but I fell between the wheels of the truck, so it passed over me and didn't touch me.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And the only thing that I had three, you know, how you say, this is a fracture that children have. It's not a complete fracture because they, their tissues are soft, so
Right.
the cartilage, it was like a how you say, a crack. So they put a bandage, an elastic bandage around me, around my chest, and in 3 weeks I was okay.
It's probably your
So
ribs. Ribs
I'm
were
sorry.
cracked. Was it your ribs were probably
Yeah,
cracked?
because it hit the motor hit me. But
What?
that's probably why I lost consciousness, because of the blow.
Oh my gosh, your poor mother. She saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Then my teacher, I found myself in the arms of my teacher, Almoslino, Mr. Almoslino. I remember his name. He was a Spanish guy, very good the guy for and he was a teacher of art. So he took me directly to the hospital, ran with me in his arms, and my mom came after, and so I was okay. That was another experience. Um, so after that, it's just boring schooling and all this. It bored me. It's like I wanted to learn something else, and that in school they didn't teach me that. So, but I studied. I passed the grades and everything, and I was very good, especially in math. I had a teacher of math, uh, Doamna Niculescu, in Romanian. And she was a young lady and very good looking, and I fell in love with her again. So, and every time she would ask for a quiz or something in math, I was the first to raise the hand, and I would get a 5. 5 in Romanian was the maximum grade.
Wow.
So every time. So I said to my father. My father wanted me to be an engineer. So I said, okay, because I was very good in mechanics and all these things. But my hands are good. But I said, no, I don't. I don't want to good. I want to become a doctor because I want to save you. I remember I promised you, and I keep my promise. So anyway, I went to school and everything, and they started brainwashing me, and I forget about all the psychic stuff and the experiences and everything for many, many years. So then I decided to go to medicine. I passed the concourse in Romania. There were like, I don't know how many people on one seat because it's a concourse. And so I passed that there, but then they discovered that I want to go to a capitalistic country. They were communists. So when I presented myself after 3 months of studying physiopathology to exam, they said, "Hey, you're fired. You're not here. You're exmatriculate." And I say, "Why?" "Because you're going to Israel, and we have there our friends, the Arabs, and you're going to kill the Arabs." I said, "I'm not going to kill anyone. I just want to study medicine." "No, you cannot study here." So I had to go, to think about going to Israel and continuing to study there because they exmatriculated. But it was like a cold shower for me. So I said, I have nothing to do with Arabs who think. I mean, I love people. So anyway,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
so yeah, so then I I was about to be drafted in the Romanian army because I was that age,
Wow.
So about 20, 18 or 20, so 19, I think. But anyway, so they wanted to draft me, and then I said, "Oh God, I have to do something about it." So I registered with a school of felchers, in other words, to become a nurse. Uh, and based on
Smart.
my 2.5 years of medical school there, they allowed me to be a nurse. And but I had to go for 2 years to that school of nursing. And this way they will not draft me to the army. Meanwhile, I got the visa for Israel. I waited long because they were very anti-Semitic, the
Mhm.
Romanians, and they knew I'm a Jewish. I want to go to Israel, and uh, but finally they gave me the visa to my family, and but I was the one that I wanted to go. My parents wanted to stay there. Eventually, we loved each other very much. We were a very close knit family, and they said, "Oh, if you go, we'll go with you." My father was a big inspector of all the fisheries in Romania. He was very smart, and he became, and he was firing everyone like Trump if they were corrupt. he would fire them. So, so, but me and my father, we loved each other very much, and uh, I liked what he's doing. That he's very, straight person, and he um, he's right in what he's doing. So then they fired him too when the communists came to power. They
Mm.
fired him because he worked for the capitalists or whatever. They had their own slang. But anyway, um, all of us, a friend of mine registered me, and I was accepted at a school in Switzerland, in
Oh.
Lausanne. To
Wow.
continue my medical school, I could have, gained 1.5 years because they already accepted me. In Israel, I didn't know they wouldn't accept me, but only to start from the beginning. Then they don't recognize anything from a communist country.
Mm.
So I had to start from the beginning when I arrived in Israel.
Wow.
So I had to
Oh.
pass a concourse first, and like anyone else, and you see, there's something in the culture, in the Jewish culture. I don't know if you know, but they think that you have to be a doctor. That's so everyone is going to be a doctor. Imagine it's very hard to get there in. So, but God helped me, and I got in, and so uh, I'll tell you. There's there's a joke about that. It says that a Jewish mother had two sons.
Mm.
One was to become the president of the United States, and she was elected to be the president. And he invited his mom to come to the White House. So he said, "Come, mom, to see the ceremony," and they swear me in. So she said, "Well, I don't want this. I'm not interested in these things. So I don't want to come." So he said, "Come, come. I'll bring you in Air Force One." So anyway, so eventually she gets there in the first row at the inauguration, and there's a minister there, and the minister asked her, "Aren't you proud that your son is the president of the United States?" And then she said, "Oh yeah, but my other son is a doctor."
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's
understand real.
Just to show you the culture.
right, right, exactly.
Oh,
I was just saying you have to understand the culture, you can understand that joke. Absolutely. That
oh,
is so
So anyway,
funny. And she was so excited about her other son too.
so anyway,
That's so funny. I love
yeah.
it.
So
That was a good
anyway,
one.
I went to the medical school and so forth, but I realized that they are talking only about physical things. Like yesterday, I went to a conference at Cedar Sinai Medical Center because I have to give a speech myself, as I told you in the past.
oh, was that
Yeah,
yesterday?
yeah, but it was another person, another doctor, talking
Oh,
about genetics of Jewish people,
oh,
Oh,
and that
wow.
was the lecture of an hour and a half, or something like that. And I asked a question in the end. I said, "You're telling me that Jewish people have specific genetic predilection to get Tay Sachs disease. Uh, 1 in 29 people carry this gene. And so how comes that 320,000 people in the world, have only one person that gets that, but the Jews get 1 in 29."
huh.
Uh,
So, and it comes up that I phrase the question because I believe in God, and they don't want me to believe in God. They said, the person that asked me in the past 3 times, I gave speeches there, he doesn't believe in God, and my sister is friends with him, as well. And she says, I believe in God because of you, Adi. She called me Adi. She was a little girl. She's my kid sister. So I believe because every time you talked about God, so that's why I believe in God. But all her friends that are Israelis and Jews don't believe in God. They are scientists. One of them got Nobel Prize in medicine. I see him occasionally at parties. But anyway, so they think that they know it all. And I don't agree with that. Yesterday,
Right.
he and the lady like you, is a lady there, Sandra, she says, don't talk about God if you talk. And the doctor, cardiologist, the chief cardiologist of the hospital said, don't say anything about God. Be very careful. And I said, what? Then God will speak for me.
Amen. Hallelujah. That's so true, though.
And this was just yesterday?
Yes.
Well, no wonder what's wrong with the medical system. They
I
don't.
don't know, but anyway,
Well,
Mhm.
be careful.
I said,
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about God,
Good.
and
Right.
whether you want it or not, because in 60 years of my practice, I not from the textbooks, not from you, not from others like you that believe strictly in something that's scientific in quotes. I found out by myself that in the first half of my career, when I treated the patients, I treated like you. I thought it's just science. And the results weren't that great. I decided that I'm going to put God there. And in addition to everything else, like psychotherapy or, medications, little by little, I found out that these people, that they believe in God, most of them, and that makes them well. In most, I had a lot of successes because of that. So I know from my own experience
Wow. Yeah.
it works. I'm not a doctor of 30-year-old. I'm 87.
Mm.
You just don't
Yeah,
look
look at that.
87.
Yo,
No,
would not have
when
known
I
that.
say, I tell them, I say something about, I had cancer about 40 years ago or close to that. And it spread to my lungs and everything. And all the professors said this and that show that I have a cancer that would kill me fast. It's very progressive. So,
Right.
so I didn't believe in them. And then Sandra looked at me like that, among the other people there, the other doctors, and this doctor that gave the lecture, as if she was very dissatisfied that I said that. And I said, well, I believed in what they found, but I didn't believe to continue to believe, but to find a way to heal myself.
Right.
And I healed myself, guess what? Through prayer to God, mostly.
Yeah.
After a month and a half, I went for tests and all the nodules in my lungs disappeared. Everything was okay. And they found under microscope that I have carcinoma.
Is that
Wow.
I'm sorry, sarcoma. Sarcoma
okay?
is even worse than carcinoma because
Okay.
it progresses fast. So anyway,
So that was gone.
what?
That was completely
I
gone.
had a nodule in my thigh, and they examined under microscope there. They found out it's sarcoma. All right, and that spread to my lungs. So I said, how comes? And then as I continued to explain this, she didn't even look and left because she wasn't satisfied that I talk about this thing, as if I'm diminishing the professors of the hospital. So I decided there is long ago that there's a medical establishment as RFK Jr. did recently, and and I agree with him in many respects. But I mean, yeah, you have to use science, but don't forget about God. I have a friend, an orthopedic surgeon. Every time he goes to do surgery, he prays to God to help him. So there are doctors that believe in. 80% of the people, probably 60% believe in God and 20% in the higher power. But anyway,
Mhm.
it's a lot of people.
Yes.
A
And
Yes.
lot.
I read Desiree, your story with your
Yeah,
eyes.
I'm
And I
glad
was
you
Oh,
brought
very
that up.
impressed. I was
yeah.
very impressed. God bless you.
Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Like God. Exactly. Sometimes that's the answer.
And
So
How
we're
can we
on the
deny it?
same page, Desiree. And
Yes.
yeah, so that. But anyway, I probably uh, I'll give the speech, but I'll make it. I'll change the title. I will make the title "A
Mm.
Bridge Between Medicine, Parapsychology, and Spirituality."
I love it.
Wow. You were still able to get that message out. That was awesome the way you
So
one you
you
yeah.
did do the message. You did do the speech.
No, I didn't give the speech yesterday. There was somebody else,
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
will, and you're
but
going to change the
but my
name.
friend, the cardiologist that doesn't believe in God, he says that you are next after this guy that gave the lecture. You'll be next, and he's very strong. He's a Leo. He thinks he's.
Oh.
I like him for other things, but I I pray for him.
I hear you.
Well,
Yeah.
hope.
That's good. That's
He's a
good.
very intelligent man. He's a very
Mhm.
accomplished man. He's a leader, but he thinks that everything is science. And when I talked with the one that got Nobel Prize, I don't want to say the name, in chemistry. He's a medical doctor, and he doesn't believe in God either.
Mhm.
So because he comes to my sister, she has parties sometimes, like birthday party or things, and we meet together. But most of the and my sister says, "How comes Adi?" She calls me Adi. All my friends, and she is very popular. My sister, she's a leader. She was a sergeant in the Israeli army.
Mm.
I was a captain,
Wow.
a medical doctor, but during the 6 Day War, and I
Wow.
experienced my life is like three lives put together, reincarnated.
Wow. Really, I know.
This is the
Jeez.
movie.
Yeah, I was in the 6 Day War, and I there was thank God it was only 6 Day War, but and
Right?
Israelis won over five Arab countries that attacked it to destroy us, like in the Holocaust.
Yeah,
So,
that was
yeah.
evil.
And guess what?
Mm.
Somebody that was uh, helping Israel at the time was an American Jewish pilot that I happen to know to be his doctor. I don't want to say the name, but so I know his
Wow.
son. He's a filmmaker, by the way. I know his son very well, and he really appreciates what I did for his father, and then for the mother. The mother also passed away like him, and he was 95. The mother probably 90. But anyway, the point I want to make is that um, I was praying all the time for these people that were wounded, Israelis as well as the Jordanians, that I had to give the first aid. And I didn't make a difference to me. That didn't make a difference. They are human beings, all of them. So I sent them all on a helicopter after giving the first aid to Hadassah Medical School, and where I was working. So to be taken care of. So I would
Right.
do a tracheotomy, or I do an IV or something. I mean, I would stop the bleeding, things like that. it happened once that somebody, a guy, died in my arms, and I started crying. And the commander there said, "You don't cry here. We don't have time to cry." So anyway, he was right. We didn't have time, but I couldn't help it. So yeah. So that's the story of my life. No respect.
Oh my goodness.
Why?
Okay. I don't think I'd sum it up as like that at all.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
You know,
You're
Rodney
funny.
Dangerfield, who used to
Yeah,
used to
right.
Yeah,
say,
no
Yeah.
respect. Ain't no respect there. How he does it, yeah.
Well, so now that you're here and looking back, I mean, would you have changed any of it?
I'm sorry.
Now that you're here and looking back, I always ask this of myself. Would you have gone back, if you could, and change everything or change things that would have happened that would have created the person that you are now?
I don't know. I like to joke every time. People think that maybe you don't know me this way, but I like to improvise jokes, and they come straight, and people laugh, and I do that with my patients, with my colleagues, and I do talk about God, and I think after I tell the joke that comes to me, spontaneously, I forget about it. So you ask me if I'm going to do the same thing. I don't know. I forgot about it.
Oh,
So
that's a good.
That's funny. That's good.
Well,
Forget about it.
often, I mean, I don't know, but often I think about, well, if I would have chosen a different path at this point in my life, that would have totally changed the things that happened in my life. I would have had a completely different life had I made a couple of choices when I was younger or even older. But then when I think about how God has saved me and how God has saved my family, I would say I could not go back, and I would not, because I would not change it, because I wouldn't have learned all the things. I wouldn't have seen the miracles that God had in store, the pain I was to endure, and the
Mm.
miracles that would come from that. So see, that's kind of why I like to ask that question. I've thought about it, a lot.
oh wow, yeah,
Yeah.
it's good for you that you know that. I personally, I'll tell you, to answer your question, to rephrase it. I think that what started me, as I said, is I wanted to prolong my parents' life, and and that I said, "You have white hair. That's not good." So anyway, so
Eh, my cheeks hurt.
from that I got into past lives regression. I did thousands of past
Mm,
life regression over 40 years. You can
wow.
imagine, a lot of time. So, and then little by little, by doing past life regression, I became so aware of God.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
because there are people, believe it or not, that believe in past lives, in
mm,
reincarnation, but they don't believe
mhm.
in God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's true.
yeah,
I noticed that. Yeah.
right. But because they're interested. Oh, it's something interesting, very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to God, don't talk about God. But
Right, and
many
you're just
people
like,
confuse God. Patients confuse God with religion. Especially
yes.
when I was at the Menninger School of Psychiatry in Topeka, Kansas, that was supposed to be. I was lucky there again. I was accepted after a concourse or something in Topeka, Kansas. And uh, they had to measure my IQ and my genes. They are very meticulous. So anyway, apparently I have enough IQ to go in. So, so I think and now I realize that IQ doesn't mean much. I think that what means a lot is the soul maturity, because in the soul maturity is wisdom. And in wisdom, part of it is IQ, but uh,
Mhm.
but most of it is not. Most of it is the amount and the quality of experiences that come from our lives in this life, and necessarily many lives, because in one life may not we may not accumulate as much experience as in many lives through reincarnations.
Mhm.
And God gave us that kind of an insurance by making us in its image and likeness, and we don't have date of expiration like
True.
items of food in a supermarket. So
It's a that's funny. Except we're God, we're made in the image of God.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. I want. I don't know. I don't want to expand too much because it'll take several reincarnations to expand. I did 26 past lives of my own.
Wow.
And they were confirmed by the psychic of Sheila McLean as being correct. Kevin Ryerson, that appeared with her in the movie Out on a Limb as a psychic. He's a very phenomenal psychic,
Ah,
I,
trans-channeler.
yeah.
He confirmed that in two of my lives I was the doctor of famous people. And I don't know why I met with a lot of famous people myself, whether it was Marilyn Monroe or Jean Harlow or in past lives that are more remote. I was the doctor of um, Louis XIV in France, Roi du Soleil, the most notorious one, and Kevin Ryerson confirmed that it's one of the 26. So, and then I said, well, but I don't believe that I was the doctor of Constantine the Great that brought Christianity to the world. That's too much for me. Why should I be with all these very important people? People don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. And Kevin Ryerson, in one of the sessions I had with him, he read me and he said, well, listen, go and find out by yourself. You do past life regressions to others, so do to yourself. So I did, and I saw myself surrounded by a circle of Roman soldiers, and on a horse was Constantine the Great. And he sustained an injury on his left cuff uh, by an arrow. So immediately I pulled out the arrow and I placed from my bag of goodies, I placed some, um, you know,
Med-
alcohol alcohol on both sides, and it burned like hell because and I looked at his face and he was so stoic, and I said, wow, what a brave man. He doesn't even move a muscle. So that I would scream, but then he started having difficulty breathing, and immediately I reached in my bag, and I under hypnosis or semi hypnosis, I see uh, a name there on the bottle, Crescentia Huete,
okay.
Juete, it's Juate. So Crescentia Huete, and I give him a few drops of that in a glass of water, and he drinks that, and little by little his breathing comes back. So he had an attack of asthma at the time,
wow.
because of all the stress upon him. So anyway, being wounded and the fight, So so then I said to myself, let me check to see if such a Crescentia Huete exists. And I found out in the
Right.
Encyclopedia Britannica, I found out that it is, and it's an exotic fruit. It looks like a watermelon, but the pulp is very poisonous. But if you take only a little bit from the pulp and dissolve that in a solution of water, distilled water, you can get enough to give a little bit and to ameliorate the symptoms of asthma and lung
Oh,
conditions.
See, that's exactly what happened
whoa.
to my sessions, Dr. Adrian. You'll see something just like you saw that name, or you'll see something, and then when you take that out of the session and you go look it up, and it's real. So
Yeah,
that's exactly, you saw that name and were able to confirm what was
yeah.
actually a long time ago.
Right. But I didn't believe in the beginning. I said, oh, I believe that I was the doctor of the French, king. But because I did past life regression myself, I found it,
Mhm.
like I did with 26 other lives. But this I don't believe.
Ah,
It's too much. So he says, okay, go and find out. And that's what I found out.
whoa. That's
So,
very in depth.
Yeah.
so what do you, so,
That's my life again, and no respect. But anyway, uh,
Ah.
I would say these are my lives. But anyway, everyone has many lives, more or less. But I'll tell you, recently, in the last, I would say, half a century, we get a lot of young souls to incarnate because we have such great conditions of living on earth that they like,
Ah.
especially to come to America without crossing the border. They come directly, reincarnate here. So, but people
Oh.
cross over the border too, because it's something good here that they are attracted, like the flies to the honey.
Honey.
So, or to the light. So
Right, right.
anyway, um, so they come, and what happens? You have people with different levels of maturity of the soul. The young
Mhm.
one that just reincarnated in the last 50 years, and the ones that have older souls, and the age of the soul has nothing to do with the chronological age of a person. A child
Right.
may have a more mature soul than the parent.
Mhm.
you
Mm.
know
I see that a
so
lot.
yeah. And so it depends on the accumulation of so many maturing experiences from other lifetimes. But and why do we mature, and why do we have to be there's an adult in the room or not? Anyway, because we want to mature, because you know this is the way back to the lost paradise, to
Mhm.
finding God again. And God is not far. You don't have to go to Tibet to find yourself. You find it inside yourself. Some person with a long hair, a hippie, went to to his hairdresser after many years, and because he went to Tibet to find himself, and the hairdresser told him, "What's the problem? You can find yourself by cutting your hair." So,
Some people do that though.
I used to work with a lot of people, and it was such a fun experience to see all these people that would travel to places like you're talking about. And I kept looking at them. I'm thinking they all had some common denominators, but I don't think I'll go into what it was because I don't know if that'd be smart to do that or right. But I I felt that way too. I'm like, you're over there, like they would do this frog thing, like having a frog treatment or something, and they would put them on a trip, right? And I'm like, gee, I can see God just fine without a frog, where they do
yeah.
these, go on
Oh.
these. Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh. So as that's kind of part of that book, the part of the chapter in that book about that.
God is within ourselves,
Yeah,
and
it's
this
Mhm.
is
God.
what I found out,
Yeah.
that you don't have to go anywhere, but you have
Mhm.
to go in within, and you
Mhm.
find God, and God is dictating, is telling you what to do and what not to do, and you know that very well. So I think. and it's okay. Uh, but I want to give you an example about the maturity of the soul and what's happening in this country. In this
Mhm.
country is now a crisis because of clashes of people that are mature and ones that are immature.
Oh, that makes so much sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. They are immature and become violent even if they don't get their way, but they are not ready to do that. There must be an adult in the room, and it's the one that has more maturity. And I don't want to say who they are because, but
Mhm.
Yeah,
I don't want to become political about that. But
right.
so, it's not important the party so much as the maturity of the soul. But I'll give an example. If you go by the chronological age and take a 4-year-old kid to play with a 3-year-old, the 4-year-old wants to be the boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 3-year-old starts screaming. He wants to be the boss.
Mhm.
Um, and the 4-year-old puts the foot down. And the 3-year-old screams louder. Well, no one of them is happy here.
Right.
So, so this is what's happening in this society,
And the adults coming in the room.
right? So, but you don't have to give up on the kid. You have to eventually the one that's more mature to guide him, to guide her. So, but if
Absolutely.
you take a 3-year-old to play with a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old with a 4-year-old, you'll see they see eye to eye because they're at the same level of maturity.
Mm.
True.
And that we achieve only after we leave the body and we do go in the esoteric area where we group together with people alike in terms of maturity, and we together like a class learn from others that hopefully are older than us in order to accelerate our ascent back to understanding and feeling and living and sensing in everything God within ourselves, because that's the lost paradise.
Mhm.
I can't
Mm,
believe
man.
it's already
So
like
true.
it's getting close to the time the
Oh,
show's over. That's gone. This has gone so fast.
oh, we did another one so we could talk about the Return to the Lost Paradise. That was it, and that was so beautifully
Yeah.
the way you put it too. Absolutely.
Yes, and what I love is that on this show does like we get a I mean like on the unseen realm, everybody only gets to talk for a few minutes on a subject. So over here
Hmm.
on this show, it's kind of neat because we can actually just hear what he's actually expanding. I mean, like I've heard some of these stories, Adrian, but I don't remember some of this. Some of the things you're saying are the first time I've heard it. So I'm again like, wow, what a life
That's
you've
cool.
lived. What a
Yeah,
life.
imagine if they would apply in so many systems in our society the understanding that it's not a matter of age or you cannot take a child that is in the third grade and put him or put her in the seventh grade or
Right.
with other kids that are older in their training because they will fail. They
Mm,
will
Right.
be failures, and the ones that are ahead will fail too because they have to be kept back for the others
Yeah.
that are not so mature. So you'll bring all the maturity level down, and
Oh,
that's why there are failures in school. But if they would be like there was the busing once, you remember?
mhm,
They were
mhm,
bust certain kids and all this. It's not a matter of the color of the skin, but the age of the subconscious, the soul. If we have an age that it's more advanced than another, you know, doesn't depend on our culture or the color of the skin and all this. So silly, so stupid.
Right. Well, Dr. Adrian, I hope you can come
Yeah.
back again. Like, we'll
Oh,
have to end the show now, Desiree. Thank you for coming into this. Before we leave, was there any questions like that you wanted to ask him, or did Dr. Adrian cover a question that you wanted to ask?
no, you covered a lot of questions, and I learned more about you. I loved hearing about your life, and man, you have seen a lot. I love hearing about how God has shown you the world, and even how you still persevere in the medical field, in life, and with everyone in your practice with such love, always, centered in the need of that to help heal people, from all walks of life that come through your door. And you do it with such an open heart, and with such love and good intentions. That's quality, not only quality patient care that people, need and to help heal the soul, the flesh or the body, but also too, like, it helps heal the soul too, and our spirit. So
Well,
thank you.
what
Yeah.
you're saying,
Yeah, good.
I was wondering why I get in touch with very important people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I got in touch. I don't want to say names, but from
Right.
heads of states that now are very enemy to each other. But I got in touch with them or somebody from their family,
Yeah.
and I did past life regression with them. So, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say that. But
Right.
I asked the question, God within, why,
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of God, I, I'm not myself famous, but I get in touch with famous people. And the answer came to me from God, because you're for real. And they
Ah,
like
yes.
people that are for real, not
Oh.
hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes
I I
perfect.
agree.
I agree too.
Absolutely.
I think it's amazing to know you, Dr. Adrian, and you too, Desiree.
Oh.
I feel like we're so blessed to all know each other.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed myself to
Me,
know
me
you.
too.
You are beautiful souls yourself, and I knew you from before at the unseen realm. And I feel all the panel there, and is made of people that are dedicated, and they are for real.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like that name.
This is
That'd be a
bro.
good name for real. I mean, it's so true. Well, thank you so much. Now, Dr. Adrian, we can find people that are interested in learning about you. Can definitely take your name and just put it in Google, and everything pops up. So, but I want to make sure that you go ahead and share something for the people that are listening now or listening in the future.
Well, I want Google not to pop up completely and not be there, but I, but yeah, it's sometimes I'm curious. I look in the Google and I see myself somewhere, and I said, "What? How? I'm I'm a public figure. I didn't know that."
Yes, you are definitely a public figure. Yes.
Okay,
I
you
looked
you
that
are
word up.
too. You are too. I saw your. I looked all over. You have a long history, and you, Desiree. So I guess I'm your humble servant. That's
Yeah.
what
No.
I say to God when I pray, and I say that
Yes.
I'm your humble servant.
Right. Yeah, no. We're brothers and sisters. We're all servants. We're all like the servants to the Most High, the
Correct.
same God. Yeah.
Mother,
Ah.
Father, God, and we're children of them,
Mhm.
siblings.
Well,
Yes. I love it.
you know what? Dr. Adrian, I don't think you've ever led us in prayer. Could you lead us in prayer to say prayers for the end of the show?
Yeah. Why won't we say a prayer?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the first day of the rest of my life, and I shall live it in good health and abundance. doing the constructive, positive things I want to do, and surrounding myself with people of my choice in pursuit of love, peace, and joy. And thank you, God, for that.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you.
that was so
And
nice. Thank you.
thank you, Desiree, for
Woo!
popping
Yeah.
to be with us.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, I saw light. That was awesome.
yes. And thank you to our Bishop Joshua. We're sending him a big hug and prayers for him to
Yeah,
be
prayer to
healed.
the Dr. Joshua.
Yeah, so he'll be back in us this Saturday on the Unseen Realm, and then he'll be back with me on next Tuesday.
All
So
right.
until then, I just want to thank you both for being here, and thank Stan, our
Yeah.
producer. Stan Fikes is an amazing producer.
Thanks, Dan.
We thank the Web Radio Network. I also want to plug my husband, Joe, who has a show this Saturday morning, the 22nd at 10:30 a.m. at Tucson Botanical Gardens. And he is doing his very first show. It's called Beautiful Spirit Interactive Art in Motion, and it's going to run all the way through till August 31st. I just found out today. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that might listen, because it's, and you can find us. We have a brand new YouTube channel, we have a brand new website, and
All
I'm
right.
very excited about all of that. Is there anything you guys would like to talk about or say real quick before we end that you would like to share?
Well, if we, by what we did during this short time, we transmitted to people that they are valuable, that they are made in God's image and likeness, given dominion over all creation, including themselves, and choice, a free choice to be good, to be with God. That's fine. And God bless the pets too.
Yeah. God bless the pets too.
Best,
Oh, look
best.
at
This
that.
is hi, Rosie. Say hi.
Hi, Rosie. You'll end the show. I know. I
Excuse
heard
me.
my Eli was barking just a bit. I'm like, and he was quiet for me. Do you have anything you want to share, Desiree, before we go?
Just I pray and that everyone is blessed. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been a blessing. If you haven't subscribed or like Web Radio Network, do so now. This is the awesome channel. This is the awesome show. I love drop. Thank you so much for having me here to drop in, and I am so blessed to have this opportunity to spend this quality time with you and Dr. Adrian, and just my cheeks hurt, from I've been smiling so hard, and you know what? It's been a blessing because it's just been such an eventful day today. So I truly appreciated it, and you have lightened up my day. Thank you
Thank
so
Yay.
you.
much.
Thank you.
Yes,
Well, thank you so much, everybody. And God bless you all, wherever you are. God bless you. And God
bless
bless
you.
you tomorrow, the next day, and whenever, whoever sees this. God is with you. And don't you ever forget it. Just ask,
Yes,
and God will be there for you.
And if
yes,
you have a condition of any kind, say, I am healed
I
because
am.
God is within me.
That's
mm.
right.
I
God
am
is with
healed because God is within me. That is the
I am healed
truth.
because God is within
And
me.
you are
And let's
healed
just say
too,
really
because
quick, Desiree was healed from blind. She was going
I am
blind.
healed. You're healed.
I'm
Everyone.
Yes,
We're all
we're
healed.
all
Thank
healed
you,
So
God, for that.
we'll
I'm
talk
your
with the
about
God
humble
within me.
servant.
we'll get Desiree on sometime and talk about what happened to her too. But you just heard what I said. So she was healed from blindness.
Yes,
Okay.
I was.
All right. Thank
I
you
could
guys.
see.
God bless you
Thank
all.
you.
Good night. Thank
God
you.
bless you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Hallelujah.